up, everybody? It's your boy Kryptonian saying here, bringing you a review for One Piece chapter 616. And once again, this is another chapter where the stakes are continuing to rise. Hody Jones and Vander Decken, they've invaded the Fishman Palace and everything as far as with King Neptune's place. And Zorro is standing there ready to take charge and defend or whatnot, and it's more so Zorro's itching for a fight. And I want to say this, right? Like, pre-time skip, Zorro has some savage in him, right? He has some savage in him. That much is clear. Zorro kind of throw down, but at the same time, one of the things that I kind of felt like was, you know, Zorro would kind of do things in his own way, but I don't recall Zorro being as cutthroat as he is now. Like, I've said it before, like, there's always some meathead tendencies there, but whatever happened with Mihawk, Zorro is more aggressive now. It's small stuff that I'm noticing that I'm not saying it's out of character, but it's something that I look at Zorro and it just feels like there's more aggression there. So I'm wondering what happened. What happened during that training with Mihawk? What did Mihawk teach him? Because, again, it's just small stuff. And like I said, I might be a little too in my head. You see some of the nobility that you saw before, like with the fact that when Zorro is looking and he's like, oh, okay, well, looks like we gotta defend the palace now. Like, you see that. That's very in character. That's something he would have did before. But, I mean, just small shit. Just small shit that I'm seeing, like when he says, like, yeah, let me just get right to it. I want to go ahead and cut him. I want to go ahead and cut him now. And when Usopp calls him on it, he's like, oh, no, I didn't mean, you know, chop him down. And Usopp says, you're nothing but a cold-blooded murderer. And the fact Usopp is kind of joking with that, it lets me know that, you know, the Straw Hat's looking at it and they kind of gotten used to it. But, again, I just, with the way Oda's drawing his face and everything, maybe it's the scar over his eye or something, but the way that his face is drawn, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking back to how I've seen him in, you know, past arcs, and there's a difference. There's a difference. Like, Zorro is more that when shit hits the fan type guy, go right into it, but I didn't see as much of the savage. I like it. I'm just saying it's something I've kind of noticed, man. Like, it's a small uptick. Like, a great way to put it is like when you look at Star Wars, and in particular the prequels, which damn near everybody hates, but when you look at Anakin Skywalker from 1 to 2, the same characteristics are there. Like, he was a little bit of a smart ass in the first movie, and he was very dead set and you know, strong on his beliefs. He needed to be guided a little bit. In the second movie, there's the same stuff, but it's built on it. It's more in your face, and I feel like I'm seeing the same stuff in the 2 years that have passed. The characteristics that were there with Zorro, they've kind of stepped up a little bit. So, I mean, it's good. It's character progression, so I like it. Don't get me wrong. Now, the other thing with this chapter that I thought was pretty interesting is actually going to go with Tom's brother Dan and with Frankie. But before I get there, hold on. Sorry about that. So when it comes to, you know, Dan and all that, it's something that I did notice and I don't mind it, but what is really, really fascinating to me is in the SBS corner, there have been a few things that have been kind of explained to us. There have been a few things that have been explained to us. Like, the first thing is that apparently Makino is a mother now. She's a mother now. Did not see that coming. The other thing that's pretty interesting is you have Luffy. Oda explains that the scar on Luffy's chest was when Jinbei had tried to protect him, and because of that, this was in the SBS corner a while back, but post time skip actually. But when Jinbei tried to protect him from Akainu, that's how Luffy ended up getting the scar, because in the manga it wasn't that damn clear that that's how that happened. Like, you saw Jinbei take the brunt of the attack and you thought maybe he kind of saved Luffy. Again, it wasn't that clear, so I like how Oda kind of clears that up. And the fact that somebody even asked that, it lets me know that at least in the manga variation of this, it needed to be kind of cleaned up a little bit. So I thought that that was pretty interesting. Now, getting back to Den, he has a nice line in here, and it goes back to the whole thing with Oda and like race, and he has a pretty clear message. He has a couple of different lines, but one of the things I like is how he says, on Fishman Island, no one is surprised no matter what their child looks like. We never quite understood why you humans separate people according to looks. And that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. I mean, you see it now. Like if you're black and you're really dark skinned, one of the things that happens is people automatically have this assumption. If you're black and you're really light skinned, people have an assumption about you. If you're kind of in that in between, it's just like you kind of get pulled in both ends. And it's the same thing like when you get into biracial children. You're not quite black enough and you're not quite white enough. Even if you're white to the point where you can pass, like you're light to the point where you can pass. I mean, there's still some stuff, at least down in the South, man. Like, in other parts of the country, it's a little bit different, but still, though, I mean, when you look at the census forms, how do we break stuff down? Break it down by race, which I guess stupid is ethnicity, but I mean, we break it down. Are you Asian? Are you Native American? Are you Caucasian? Are you African American? Are you Hispanic slash? Are you Hispanic? Are you black non-Hispanic? There's so many different categories, and even now you have it where, are you biracial? Do you have more than one race? It's stupid. It's stupid. And I like how in here, Oda is playing with the idea of like, yeah, genes get mixed, and depending on what's in the bloodline, different things pop up. And I like how when Frankie's being, the average person, Frankie's saying, Den, you and Tom don't look anything alike, and your merman to boot. Tom was a cowfish. I thought that you'd be more like Tom since you're brothers. And he says, that's a very human way of thinking. I guess family members tend to resemble each other on land, tend to resemble each other. It's a bit different with us. Fishmen and mermen have their own genes. If an octopus mermaid has a child, then that's a shark merman. And that means that there was a shark merman somewhere in their lineage. And what I like about that is, I mean, it's the same thing. Like when you get into genetics and everything now, it's the exact same thing. You see different things, kind of pop up. A really great example of that would be like, with my own, like with my own family. Like I'm a lot darker than my aunt is, and yet at the same time, it's because our bloodline is completely. Our bloodline has a whole bunch of different shit in it. And so, I mean, like, that's like 2 months are really, really light. Another one is like kind of in between. My mom is a few shades lighter than I am. And one of my cousins is dark. I mean, it's all over the place. And that goes in the whole thing with genetics. You just never know what you're going to get. And so what I really like about what Oda's doing here is Oda's just pulling shit from all over the fucking place. He's pulling shit from all over the fucking place, and it's very well needed. It's very well needed because it's adding a layer of humanism to it. And then when you get to the seriousness, right? When you get to the seriousness of Hody Jones and Vander Decken being there, and we find out that Vander Decken and Hody Jones, that there was a connection. And I like how when you see it, it's just like, why would Hody Jones be working with Vander Decken? He used to be one of, I forgot the guy's name, but he used to be one of the swordsmen. And what's really interesting is, again, it's the world building and how in each of these countries there's a conflict and they have their own little problems. And Oda just drops the Straw Hats right in the middle of it. And speaking of dropping right in the middle, we're getting Nico Robin going back to what she did before. And I don't mind it. I don't mind it, but now I'm wondering, is she doing something for Dragon? Because she's shown interest in the Poneglyphs before. Absolutely. And the only reason is like she has like the map and she's like, yeah, so the Poneglyph is definitely on this island and it's going to give us definite answers about the Void period. And it's just like, oh shit, Oda's really going here. Nico Robin is continuing the search for the Poneglyphs, which we knew that was going to happen. But because she was with Dragon and because what the Revolutionary Army does, it's really interesting. It's really interesting that, you know, things have been going to this extent. So moving on to yet another aspect of all of this, I do like how one of the things that we get is Hody Jones, right? He's going right after Luffy, and it's because Luffy is with the mermaid princess, and Luffy is about to rendezvous with Jinbei. Jinbei apparently is not supposed to be on the island, so it's looking like we might be seeing Jinbei get into yet another fight, and maybe him and Luffy will team up. But overall, it's a pretty good chapter. So my chapter question to you guys is, what were your thoughts in regards to what Den said, that, you know, people put too much emphasis on, you know, race and separating things? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Have an awesome day.